Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In Proverbs chapter 30, Agor describes a type of person, or it could also be translated a generation, in which there is pride and then also there is oppression. He talks about in verse 11, there is a kind of man who curses his father and does not bless his mother, a sign of pride there. There's a kind of man who is pure in his own eyes, yet is not washed from his filthiness. Again, pride. There's a kind, oh, how lofty are his eyes, and his eyelids are raised in arrogance. So there it states it more plainly. And then it talks about how he oppresses and how he devours others. In verse 14, there's a kind of man whose teeth are like swords, and his jaw teeth like knives, to devour the afflicted from the earth, and the needy from among men. So this where he's talking about a certain individual or a group of individuals, a whole generation of people, a whole type of people. Nonetheless, the idea here is that there's these prideful people who are oppressing people. They're devouring the needy, and they're never satisfied. They're never satisfied in their arrogance. They're never satisfied in taking advantage of people. And they're just very selfish and self-centered and, again, never satisfied. And so that sets up our reading today in Proverbs in verses 15 and 16, where it says, the leech has two daughters, give, give. So here he's talking about the leech that latches on to the host and just sucks the lifeblood out of the host and is never satisfied, never says, okay, well, I've had enough blood, and then detaches itself and falls away, but clings to the host, will not let go of the host until it just sucks the very lifeblood out of it. And this is very similar to this type of person that he had been describing. And then he goes on to describe other things that aren't satisfied. He says, continuing in verse 15, it says, there are three things that will not be satisfied, four that will not say enough: Sheol and the barren wound, earth that is never satisfied with water, and fire that never says enough. And certainly that is the case. Sheol, which is just another term for or name for the place of the dead, is never satisfied. Never does it say, okay, well, I've had enough dead people. No one's going to die anymore. I am satisfied. It's never satisfied. The barren wound is never comes to itself and says, you know what, I've caused this person who wants to have children enough sorrow, enough heartache. They've been lingering and waiting long enough. So, okay, well, now I will produce a child. The barren wound just never is satisfied with the sorrow that it causes. And then earth that is never satisfied with water. A drought is never satisfied. A drought just lingers and it continues on, and it too never has sympathy on those who are thirsty, who are dry. It doesn't have sympathy on the vegetation that dies as it consumes everything that's alive and keeps them from being able to thrive and to survive. And it's never satisfied in saying, okay, well, I've made you suffer enough, therefore I'm going to stop causing this drought. I'm going to quit causing this dryness on this land, that sort of thing. And then the fire, of course, we all can recognize that a fire is never satisfied. It just consumes everything. And sometimes it doesn't take very long for that to take place. And so what do we walk away from all this as we read about this generation or this type of person who's arrogant, who devours people, who's never satisfied, and then all these other things that are kind of used as illustrations of that? Well, I think probably the most obvious application we get from this is not to be like this. Not to be the type of person who is always trying to say, give, give, give. Give me this, trying to take things from others, latching onto others and trying to, suck out everything that we can out of their life, and being self-centered, being self-focused, being selfish and arrogant, and not considering other people. This would all typify what's being described here, and we don't want to be those type of people. Especially as we approach, the holiday season. It ought to be that we are more focused on giving, more focused on helping other people out, to be a leech, to be a person who is one who has two daughters that says give, that's always wanting other people to give them things all the time, is completely contrary to who we are as Christians. As Christians, we are people who are to be walking in love, to be givers, more concerned about giving than receiving. In Acts chapter 20, there, as the Apostle Paul is speaking to the elders at Ephesus, he quotes the Lord Jesus, and he says, remember the words of the Lord Jesus, that he himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. We should be people more concerned with giving of our time, giving of our energy, giving of our resources for the benefit of other people, not trying to consume the energy, the money, whatever the resources of other people, and trying to take from others. We should be givers. We should be lovers. We should be people who are imparting life to others, not sucking life out of others. We should be those who are filled with the living waters of the Spirit, walking in connection with God, in communion with God, being filled and satisfied with life, and having that overflow and spill into the lives of others, to where we become those who are not only satisfied ourselves, but are able to satisfy others and bring them satisfaction through our actions, through our speech, through our disposition, and through our connection to Christ. And so let's be encouraged as we read this portion of Proverbs to be the type of people who are givers, people who are lovers, people who are more concerned about the welfare of others and not so much the welfare of themselves, and always trying to take advantage of others for their own personal benefit. Now, one point of clarification we want to make from this is that there are some times that we do have needs. There are some genuine needs that we have, and there are times in which we need to ask for help, and we need to seek people to give us assistance. There's nothing wrong with seeking assistance when we genuinely need it, and that's not what's being described here. This is a person who is completely wrapped up in themselves, in arrogance and pride, just wants to consume everything around them and everybody around them, and trying to take advantage of them of other people for their own benefit. And so that's the type of thing we are speaking against, and that Agor is speaking against there in Proverbs 30. So these are some things we can think about and reflect on as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.